Circle had an announcement. They announced the OCC has approved uh, their national trust bank. So basically, last year, Circle had applied to the OCC for oversight over a Circle national trust. It took some time. This is now official. As of July 10th, the OCC has approved that. So that I've highlighted here in red. This places the trust bank, the Circle National Trust Bank, under the direct federal oversight by the OCC. I think another key point here is that the intention from Circle's side is to custody all of their USD stablecoin reserves with this Circle National Trust Bank. But Matt, I kind of want to flip it over to you. From my outsider's perspective, or I guess side perspective, non PM perspective, when I see news like this, I think, okay, that's further integration into the U.S. monetary system, which I think is obvious. But I'm curious from your seat, what do you see, and where does this lead in that kind of broader stablecoin digital dollar movement?
All right, so this is a big step on the that pathway, long uh, project roadmap remaining, right? As this really takes hold, we'll get into timelines in a second, but what this actually is. So before this, Circle was operating like the issuer trust for the USD stablecoin. I believe it was like an offshore domiciled entity, and that was ultimately where the issuance of USDC stablecoin came from. And then the different participants who were allowed to create or redeem with the issuer would transact and do business. And then on top of that, you had this layered patchwork of money transmission licenses state by state. It was basically, I don't know, like it's your custom order of building up this financial entity for this new framework. Well, since Genius Act passed last year, that gave the setup, the framework for these operators in the stablecoin dollar system that's emerging, proliferating, whatever, advancing. Um, the kind of the legal clarity on and regulatory clarity on how to set this thing up. So there's different types of entities you can or operate as like to obtain your charter to be a stablecoin issuer within the Genius Act framework. Circle opted to become or operate a national trust bank, which receives its charter from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, I believe is the acronym OCC. It sits it sits underneath or nested in within the U.S. Treasury, but it's its own independent organization. Um, the Comptroller of the Currency is nominated by the president, approved by the Senate, similar to the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, right, that sit on the FOMC. We've seen this with the Lisa Cook situation. But I dove into chatting with the AI about this. It's like, all right, well, does the OCC president report to anybody like within the chain of command at the U.S. Treasury, like Secretary Bessent or a deputy secretary, et cetera? The answer is no. It's like its own independent thing from a budget standpoint, funding, all of that. It's rolled into the Treasury, but it's its own independent entity. And what it's really tasked with is soundness, fairness of access, all of that stuff. But it's really tasked with maintaining kind of the integrity of the U.S. dollar. So for Circle to opt under that charter, there's signal there. It's nested within, like it's opted to make its regulator within the U.S. Treasury structure, which sits within the executive branch. Interestingly, I think the president does have the right. It's pretty clear he does have the right to fire and remove the comptroller of the currency for cause. Very similar structure legislatively, it would seem, as the Fed Board of Governors, but somehow a Board of Governors special versus the comptroller of the currency is different. I'm not sure. We'll find out, I guess, how this.
That's what these legal battles are for. Yep.
Yeah, if you're looking for consistency here, you're probably not going to find it. Or as Tom Luongo calls it, coherence, right? Is what's lacking. It would seem. Maybe someone who knows this a little bit more or in depth, specifically with the OCC structure, all of that can tell me the intricate details that make this a special case. All right. So what is this? Okay, number one, what does it allow it to do? Why would Circle? Why is this important for Circle, especially given 2-3 weeks ago, if y'all remember, the Open USD consortium, which was gonna
Yep.
kill Circle's business model in its tracks, all of that. One of the ways you're in a bear market is when stocks or businesses market pricing responds overly harshly to what's apparently bad news and doesn't respond to good news. And I think that was the case. You saw a sell off in Circle on that Open USD announcement. This news that, oh, they've gained their or their application and approval, all of that, to operate as a national trust bank came through. Very muted response on the stock chart, all of that. So you can see it. It's like, all right, this is bear market dynamics here. All right. But I think in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've seen a little bit of kind of like panache or pizzazz coming out of, or air flowing out of the balloon as far as that Open USD announcement, specifically some of the companies who were listed as among the 140 as participants came back and said, wait a minute, we didn't sign anything. We're not a part of that. We just said we'd look at it. So a little bit of air has come out of the balloon on OpenUSD, and Circle, apparently OpenUSD was going to be the Circle killer. It's kind of wait and see, not so fast. But what does this allow Circle to do? The national trust chart. I think that the biggest one that I see, Circle can now have direct access to payment rails and accounts on Federal Reserve payment systems, like, for example, and would no longer have to operate dependently through man-in-the-middle partners or banks, financial institutions, et cetera, other intermediaries who could then gatekeep or just, kind of
Charge higher fees, or yeah.
it just influence the adoption process of this stablecoin dollar. So USDC, its own stablecoin. This gives it more features. If you think about the game of Zelda we all had growing up, it's like, all right, you got your map, your all your different boxes, your tools, and everything you have access to. This gives a lot of new tools in Circle's, what do you call it, backpack, wherever Link stores all his.
I think it's a backpack
tool.
or satchel or something. Yeah,
Satchel.
something like that.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other one, so the National Trust Bank allows Circle to custody client assets on balance sheet and provide fiduciary services. So now it can serve clients in a one-by-one relationship that it wouldn't have been able to under its prior setup as a pure stablecoin issuer. So it's now competing in institutional digital asset custody, corporate treasury services built around its own stablecoin dollar. It can provide white label banking and payments for, say, fintechs, other startups. It can provide wealth and fiduciary products like denominated in stablecoin dollars, which, in our framework, expect that to become more and more apparent as we get into the 24/7 real-time trading of tokenized securities, all of that. The advance. There was another test of the DTC system to go real time for tokenized securities that we didn't cover it this week, but the test went, as far as I could read, it went positively. That rollout will come down the road in the future. But it's basically building up the business model for all of these emergent things. Now, Circle is just one competitor in a much bigger. It's going to be a big market in our opinion. But it just, it's a positive sign on that stablecoin adoption process that we keep talking about. All right. So in terms of timing, right, we talk about timing matters. We talked about before, the next 6 months are going to be big for housing, for interest rates, geopolitically, as well as politically with the elections in November. There's going to be a big next 6 months. A lot's going to happen. But why now for this National Trust Bank for Circle? The Genius Act required the regulators, so Federal Reserve, OCC, and then you could have state charter, like you can obtain a state charter to run a stablecoin issuer. But the rules needed to be in by July 18th, 2026, or tomorrow. We're recording this on Friday, July 17th. And then the language of the Genius Act specifies that it actually goes into effect as law on January 18th of 2027. So 18 months after its passage, signage into law, et cetera. So this is the key window. I think everybody's been looking at the Bitcoin bear market, the gold bear market, all of that, all and the dollar liquidity, the tight
Yep.
dollar, interest rates, the geopolitics, the whatever, everything. We've got we've got some deadlines here approaching, as everybody, like, it's fairly obvious. We got elections the first week of November. We got January 18th, Genius Act goes live. There's a lot of stuff to get done here, and a small amount of time to fit all of that into. It's going to be a busy second half of this year.